Just for you. Okay, cool. And we're recording.
All right, getting deja vu. Okay, so this is Operation Octagon, the final presentation. So we got a good amount of stuff done, not as much as I thought we would, but I think that's just because I always overestimate just how hard it is to implement certain things. But yeah, we got a lot of basic game. We got the basic game down. We've got, we've got music. That's cool. Thanks, shout out to Matthew who did literally just every single project. But yeah, we got cool pixel art. Thanks to that man there. We got, UI. That's cool. But yeah, I'm really proud of how far we got. I'll show off gameplay, so I'm not just rambling and saying these are the points that we have. But this is the stuff that we didn't manage to get done, but we'll probably try and do at some point in the future. I'm not planning on extending the project into next semester just because I want to work on other things. But I definitely want to revisit this idea because I think this is a really good foundation. But yeah, we need menus. Right now, you can only play one of the 9 maps. So I think that's something I'll probably try and work on winter break just so you can actually get all the content. Also, it's kind of awkward how it just launches straight into a game. But yeah, I mean, the insurgents and the factions, those were probably things I should have expected that we couldn't get done because they're pretty complicated and pretty big points, especially the factions. I mean, that we had 6 of them. That's a lot of code and a lot of balancing to be done. So I shouldn't have been surprised that we didn't manage to get there. And then also I'd love to have AI players because realistically, who sits around and plays on the same computer anymore? But yeah, and then maybe netcode, but that's netcode is horrible. All right, so here's a bit of a gameplay video here. I'm not going to play the whole thing, though. Actually, I probably could now. Do we have sound going through, or that's okay. We don't need sound effects. Poor Daniel doesn't get to show off anything. But yeah, we get to see the cursor. You get to see thinking. Because we don't get sound effects, I'm just going to go to 2 times already. That's quality. I'm going to go to 2 times already just so things are a bit faster, considering this is a strategy game, and typically they're not that interesting to watch. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty proud of where we got to. I think the UI looks pretty good. Probably wasn't the best choice to mix vector art and pixel art, but we'll call it style. Yeah, so as you can see, we got cities going on so that there's actual points of contention. So people are moving in. Yeah, I don't have much else to say. So I think we'll go into questions about the gameplay. If you see something, shout out, hey, what's going on there? Yeah.
So what are the cities do?
So normally to build, you have to have one of the squares completely surrounded by an octagon of your color. However, when you take a city, you can build in the adjacent squares without having to have them surrounded. So when you take them there, it can let you build a lot faster than if you were to just try and take things like normal.
How did you guys end up with I really like the tile pop out for the UI for selecting.
So you're talking about like down here?
Yeah,
or,
I mean, I'm not sure it's gonna pop up again, but I think you know what I'm talking about. The 5 squares on the left when you're selecting what's a place, just like some little things like that. Like, how did you end up making UI decisions that you did?
Well, okay, so first I wanted to have it tilted and then have everything kind of on the side. I thought that would look cool. Kind of resulted in the board being a bit too small in some places, but we made that decision and it was too late to change it. So we had to go with it. As far as the building palettes and things like that, this is right here. That was mainly just due to size constraints. Originally, there were going to be things here, but again, we didn't have enough time to do that. So I had to put 3 buttons here on the side. And the building palette, if we try and put it so all the buildings were side by side, it simply took up way too much space and you wouldn't have enough for these buttons and it got really overcrowded. So I was just like, all right, I'll just put them around. I'll try and do a grid. And it kind of ended up that it looked cool to put things around the number. Yeah. So I believe there's a lot of deliberation here over whether or not a bunker should protect against a neutral space being taken. He was not very happy about that. He is arguing that it didn't make any thematic sense, and that is true. And I will not continue my argument against it, but I'm still not changing anything. So
Yeah, I think that was like one argument we had.
did we argue about that too? Yeah, I don't know. The reason, okay, my reason is when you have it, if you had to spend 3 of your attack to simply neutralize an octagon, it makes it where you can't do as much. I think it makes things more flexible. Maybe things will change. I don't know. But I stand by my decision. Oh, here's the deliberation. Yeah, it's good. Maybe a minute. I'll just skip ahead. So a way I was trying to address certain problems, the main problem of everything is over the moment someone actually starts attacking was to add in the reinforcement system, which is this right here. That just allows you to build a bunker when you normally wouldn't be able to. And I think it works pretty well because you just throw it down, it slows people down, but it's limited, so you can't just rely on it. It doesn't slow the game down completely.
Were there any other like design decisions like the bunkers or implementing the reinforcement system where you kind of like maybe changed your mind about an initial decision later on in development?
So the mortars changed a lot, but I don't think they were implemented before anything changed with them. I think a lot of the basic gameplay decisions were just there before we actually started implementing them, thankfully. But yeah, cities changed a lot. I could never really figure out exactly what they were going to be for and what they were going to do. But yeah, mortars changed a lot. Originally, they were just going to allow you to deneutralize something anywhere on the board, but I think how I changed them fits the game a lot better and kind of helps with the rushing that I really dislike. The way they work now, he's actually about to do it. Yeah, see, okay, it only got rid of, it affects a 3x3 area of octagons. And it gets rid of any enemy octagon that's not adjacent to a building that they own, which is word soup, right? But basically, if if an octagon's not next to a building, then it gets rid of it. So you have to put some sort of infrastructure in order to get across the map, which I think is a lot more interesting than just what would end up happening is you just have these tendrils that come out of one big fat just industrial block. And you just have the tendrils come out and they slap each other a bit and then game's over. There, you see the armory was used there. Game is almost over. There's not actually currently a win condition, so technically we have infinite hours of gameplay. Yeah, he's doing a bit of scorched earth there, destroying his own things so we cannot use them. And I win. All right. Awesome. Yeah, so that is what we've got. That's our gameplay. Again, we do have more maps, and I'll try and add an actual menu so that you can play them. But yeah, here's the credits. Just big thank you to everyone who helped. Even just playing one game was really helpful for design-wise. So yeah, really happy with how things went. I think everyone already asked questions, but if there's anything.
How much did you actually change off of the original paper prototype?
So I think when I first presented, I had factories bunkers, and barracks. Yeah, thank you. Bunkers changed quite a bit, but it was all very small details, weren't very interesting. It was just trying to tune it so it wasn't really oppressive, but also making it where they were actually worth building. I think they're actually in a good place now that they're worth building. A lot definitely changed during the paper prototype, how things ended up, whereas I was working on the paper prototype while everyone else was working on the game, like video game part, and a lot definitely changed there. I'm really glad that we could do a paper prototype. As annoying as it could be, people who witnessed having to do insurgents on paper, that is very annoying, but it was great being able to actually test things before we started trying to implement them. All right, well, I will make way for our other projects.
Project singular.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no.
All right. Chromatic.
Hi, everyone. I tried out really hard for the past like 5 hours to see if I can put together a gameplay demo. Fortunately, I couldn't get everything to work together, but we do have a lot there. I was proud of everyone that worked on it. So I threw together this PowerPoint over the last like 30 minutes I had. So what we finished, we did finish character movement animations. So the character actually does have like a jump, a front flip, climbing animation, stuff like that. We redid the map design, so it makes a lot of sense. Like the character can now like move through the map without glitching through trees or having to jump on leaves. It definitely makes a lot more sense. We added sprites for our turret animation. Holly put together like a cute little bunny on a tree trunk that would shoot at you. It was pretty cool. There is a melee attack. We don't have an animation for it, but it does effectively work. It attacks in front of the character in the direction you're facing. And we added a couple of sprites for some of the enemies, but unfortunately we didn't get them into the gameplay in terms of the boss. So this is just like a quick what we're able to do in terms of like movement. The character can run around, it can jump, double jump, and then like climb up and down vines and stuff like that. But yeah, Nathan put together a bunch of animations for the character that worked pretty well together. We put together a logic tree that basically ran through our code, and it's like depending on what state you're in, your velocity and stuff like that, I could flip the animations and stuff. So that came together actually super nicely. We don't have any attack animations, but effectively there'd be a circle, there's a circle hitbox in front of the character, depending on the direction he's facing and stuff like that, that actually does do damage. But the enemies were having issues with dying, so it doesn't actually look like they're doing anything, but it does. Yeah, we redid the turret animation, so it does shoot and stuff like that. Let's see. Yeah, so we finished all of the animations for the character. For movement wise, I don't know why this got pixelated or compressed, but we also finished another enemy. And then we redid the whole map. So we had like a forest area, an underground rocky area, and then a swamp area. So all of it is actually really fluid movement. You can run through it and stuff like that. You don't really have any glitchy sections. And yeah, it's what you can run through the whole thing pretty effectively. What's left to finish? Our enemies, our interactions with the enemies and main character were like the biggest problem we ran into. Independently, they worked with each other, worked perfectly fine. When we put them together, we were having issues with hits registering. We're not exactly sure why still, but a lot of the code is in place for it. We do need to add more characterizations for melee and ranged attack. The code is there for that also, but it's still kind of clunky, and there's no real way to know how if it works effectively if we can't see how the characters actually looks like when he's animating the attacks. And then the final boss character we just never got to. And then this is just like a simple like jumping through the swamp area. It actually works really nicely. And all of the logs do have physics and stuff, so you can technically knock the one sitting still off. But yeah, the movement and the level design were actually really worked out really well. So, and then this would be technically the final boss area that we put together. So awesome. I think that's all I have in the presentation. Huge thanks to everyone that was able to show up, whether it was one meeting or put together a lot of work. Appreciate everyone who came and put ideas into the project. Hey, does anyone have any questions? Yes,
Can you talk a bit about how you got the swinging logs working?
that's a question for Sam.
So what it turned out to be was the actual mechanic of swinging the log is, I think it was literally just a 2D joint connecting two objects. As for the line, it was this code I sort of found and adapted that used a line renderer, which is usually, from what I can tell, a 3D mechanic, but I just had it not move in the Z direction. But yeah, basically just created rope sections based on some formula.
Yeah, I look really good. Any other questions? All right, well, awesome. It's not complete, but there's a lot of stuff there. So if anyone ever wants to take over the project, or I'll probably put some time into it if someone doesn't, but it's open source. I could link it to anyone that wants to work on it. So a lot of it's there. So if anyone wanted to polish it up a little bit, it could actually be like a game. So, appreciate it.
All right, well, thank you, everyone. Thank you to the projects that made it. If anyone's on the Zoom or anything that worked on a project that doesn't have a presentation, making like, not every project makes it to the end of the semester. There's countless hurdles I'm sure all of you guys faced along the way. So it's super exciting to see all the progress you guys have made. I mean, making games is pretty freaking hard. Leading teams is also pretty hard. So just, I guess, another round of applause to all the project leads. That's pretty much all we have. So good luck with finals and everything. If y'all want to stick around and talk about development and the games that y'all made, feel free to. If y'all have any more questions or anything like that. And I think you said you're going to have a build up.
Yeah.
Even though you can only play one map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can
So
change that real quick if you're really that curious.
you can swap. You can just upload 9 EXEs with each of the maps. Alrighty. Well, that's all we've got. So thanks everyone for coming out.